Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and today I'm joined with my friends over at the Fantasy Stock Exchange, YouTube, all that shit down below for all of them. We're just going to get right into the draft here. Start it, go quick, go fast.
Fucking go, baby.
Let's fucking go. So, the first pick of the draft here should take about 7 seconds for someone to realize that they need to pick either Christian McCaffrey or Patrick Mahomes. So, this is a Dynasty SuperFlex tight end premium mock draft. Pat Mahomes goes at the 101. Very, very typical.
Good pick. Yeah, good pick.
All right, guys,
Again, it's either him or McCaffrey.
Don't even think about it, Tyler.
Let's go. Real quick, just gonna drag this shit out. McCaffrey jersey, number one on our boards, number one in our hearts, number one pick for Tyler right here.
Great work.
Thank you.
You got that from him, right? He gave that jersey to you, correct?
Yeah, he did. Right after he kicked Cam Newton off the team.
Okay. So
Allen, baby.
After
Dude,
Christian,
I'm sorry. Go.
okay, so I said after Christian McCaffrey, Lamar Jackson went, so nothing really out of the ordinary. Then Saquon. This is literally probably exactly what happened in the last mock draft. You guys can check that out. It was on their channel, but pretty much the exact same thing.
Similar. I mean, you went McCaffrey at 101, but other than that, I went McCaffrey, Mahomes, Jackson, and then I got Barkley at the 104. Spoiler alert, but I mean, you'll see it on our channel, the rest of the draft, what we graded our teams to be. So go check it out. Link, I'm sure, will be in the description. Notorious Fantasies video. So
yeah, for sure. This right here, I mean, this guy has a Cardinals picture. Our boy Jay Love, check him out on Twitter.
Yeah,
Great guy.
boy.
But we got a whole squad of people. If you guys want to get
Wow.
into these mocks, you can follow me on Twitter. But
Oh,
DeAndre Hopkins, too early.
wow, too early.
Jay Love, dude. Hey, I like the bold move though, because I have him and Michael Thomas really close. So I like that pull. Obviously, I'm pulling Michael Thomas.
Wait, question. I mean, I don't. You don't like make projections or anything. That's not kind of like how you roll with it. But how do you think Hopkins is like stock up from this trade?
Dynasty wise, yes. For this year specifically, no.
No, for this year, yes.
No.
I mean,
why not?
No.
It's a much better offense. I know.
He doesn't even have an off season to match with his quarterback.
I understand, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. If Kyler Murray has the IQ of Baker, I understand why maybe you wouldn't be able to get the chemistry, but he doesn't. He's a good quarterback. He'll figure out to get the ball to Hopkins.
I mean, like every statistical analysis of a receiver moving teams in the offseason has shown there's been some sort of regression year one. Year two, they'll figure it.
Hopkins?
Odell Beckham is a talented receiver.
Beckham.
Yeah, no.
Odell
Beckham's
Beckham
an issue off the field, which very much affected himself in the season.
DeAndre Hopkins isn't even going to have an off. He's not even going to have an off season this year to train with Kyler Murray because of the COVID-19. So you're going to expect him to, like, realistically here, he took him as the wide receiver one. First of all, he shouldn't be going ahead of Michael Thomas. Nobody should be going ahead of Michael Thomas as a receiver. And taking him at the 105 there, especially over Dalvin, over Zeke, over Kamara, Murray, Michael Thomas for me. I just think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
Can we, before Nick moves on, can we go back to, yes, you said he's in a better offense, but where do you see the opportunity and the volume increasing? Because opportunity and volume are what produce fantasy points. Obviously, you can have your outlier of like 10-plus touchdowns, but you can't project that. So how is he going to see more volume in an offense that is run first, and they are really good at running the ball the last half of the year? Now with Christian Kirk, Hakeem Butler is actually going to be active this year. And Isabel in year two.
Run first. It's not made to be run first. It's made to be an offense that passes. That's all Kingsbury is. If that's your best go-to part of your game, you as a coach are smart enough to know that you got to run. But now that they have Hopkins and they're going to develop their line in the draft, that they're a passing team. Let's not forget that. That's a passing system. They're going to pass. It's not just going to be a dominant run team.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of touchdowns that have to be made up for all the field goals. That's like an evident point of the offense. So that'll be made up.
But you can't project the touchdowns to happen. Like you can't, because there's multiple teams that were like that. The efficiency in the red zone was not. It was the exact same as the Cardinals. So I think you're not going to see the volume that he saw last year strictly off, because you're mentioning Kingsbury's passing offense.
We're
an
talking
offense that runs four wide.
Yeah.
All the time. You're not going to see him and Will Fuller. That's it. They were like, I mean, I guess, I mean, like, I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I mean,
At 105,
Or
it is.
I get it. Michael Thomas should be the number one wide receiver, but
And
I
those
still
three
like
running backs that went off the board should have went ahead of him, in my opinion, as well.
He went with his guy, so I mean,
That's
we
fine.
wouldn't pick him. So
That's-
that's
I mean,
the video.
Let's catch back up here.
Yeah,
so we don't
here,
get-
move on real quick. So after I went with Zeke, and then it was Dalvin Cook, Danny went with Kyler Murray, and then Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Nick Chubb, Lucas went with Joe Mixon and Chris Godwin as his combo there, followed by
Love that.
Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Dak Prescott, Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, and I went with Austin Eckler. I really wanted Dak there, but there was no way he was going to fall to me because
He
Danny
wasn't even going to make it past me. I'm telling you right now. I was fully set on taking him and Kyler to stack up on those two quarterbacks in the
Not
first
Sam
rounds.
Darnold?
You got to relax there, buddy. That was 7:04 over here. After Dak went, Dak was really the guy I wanted there. I mean, it hurt me a lot that he got sniped right before me. But taking Jacobs, I mean, year one, he really showed how talented of a player he is. He's going to get the workload in Oakland. He's got a coach that's going to give him the ball. He has first-round draft capital. And in general, I just think there's a clear tier break after him in terms of dynasty running back. So being able to lock him up at the 205 there, I think he was the best value on the board. So
Yeah,
that's what I took him.
I agree. I mean, at the 2-7, I went with Austin Eckler. So would anyone argue that Derrick Henry is a better dynasty pick than
Not a
Eckler? Because I
chance.
just can't see that at all.
The man isn't even on contract. Like he's not. Like he doesn't have a contract. So there's not a chance that. I mean, like I made a take like earlier saying that he's gonna hold out. There's especially without an offseason, there's no way he doesn't hold out.
Mhm.
Like yes, he's getting paid $10 million, but okay, hypothetically the season doesn't happen, he doesn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? So like there's no way he doesn't hold out, and it's literally just gonna be a Le'Veon Bell situation all over again.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, the last pick of the draft so far was George Kittle in a tight end premium. Are you guys looking to draft a tight end in the first 2 rounds or no?
I mean, when it comes to Kittle, taking him at the 212 there, I feel like there's a definite tier break after him in terms of dynasty tight ends. I mean, he's the clear 101 in my opinion. I mean, he's 25. He's going to produce 1,000 yards a season. He's in the Kyle Shanahan offense. So, I mean, getting him at the 212 there, I completely understand the value. Now, would I have personally done it? I'm not 100% sure I could have. But, 212 there, 301. I mean, you take your pick either there. I definitely see the value simply because I just view him as being such an elite option and a tier above even. I love Kelsey and I love Andrews, but he's even a tier above him simply due to his age and due to his production in the past. So that's just my thoughts on Kittle.
I just want to jump on my pick here real quick. I took Josh Allen with my what is it?
211.
I'm gonna get a guy who I'm gonna go again. Like if you guys check out our video on Fantasy Stock Exchange, you'll see I kind of went with a win now team, and hell, Julio Jones at that value, I will go again with a win now team if I need to. I mean, damn, in the 3rd round, hell yeah, I'll take that. He is still a dominant wide receiver. I have no problem having him as my wide receiver 1. I think it's a really good pick there.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we haven't talked about Lucas's 2 picks, so we'll pivot back here real quick. At the 112, you went Joe Mixon, and 2-1, you went Chris Godwin. So what was your thought process there? I like that.
I like it a lot.
I'm a big Mixon fan. I think I have him in like mainly every single dynasty league just due to literally everything you look for in a dynasty running back. 23, still on his rookie contract that I've mentioned before. The team is going to pay him. They would have not moved on with him by now, but they wouldn't have been giving him the workload that he's on right now if they don't see a future with him. They wouldn't have been drafting O-line heavily if they didn't see a future with him.
Yeah.
They just kind of built the team around him, and I think that's what you need to look for when it comes to however, I'm not like super on board with like we talked about this dynasty building your team around running backs. So I think Mixon's a guy that's safe. And then Chris Godwin, I mean, if I don't want to be lazy with the Tom Brady slot receiver take because it's not really
It's a good take though.
Definitely a good take. Different category because I mean he threw to his slot because his best receiver played in the slot for 10 plus years. So it's like it's very subjective to actually being like a slot receiver. So we'll see this year. Actually, not really because Chris Godwin's the best receiver on that team.
Agreed.
So it's I guess. But, I mean, I think 2 centerpieces there. Godwin's, 24, I think. So it's – I don't know. It was an easy – I mean, it wasn't an easy pick because there was guys like Tyreek, Devontae Adams. I'm just trying something different. Because I was thinking the Josh Allen Dak stack, but I stacked 2 QBs too many times in these mocks.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me just go real quick and recap. So after we talked about the Derrick Henry pick, Russell Wilson came off the board, followed by Aaron Jones, and then Tyler selected Josh Allen, George Kittle, Kenny Galladay, Tyler on Julio Jones, then DJ Moore, Amari Cooper, Travis Kelce, and I went with Deshaun Watson, followed by
That's
DeAndre
insane.
Swift, JT, Jonathan Taylor for Danny, Cortland Sutton, Miles Sanders, and now we are waiting. So what do you guys think about Deshaun Watson now in the third round? I trashed him in your guys' video saying he was fucking garbage, but that's because of where he was picked. In the third
That's a
round here,
value.
I like the
Yeah.
value.
That's
Yeah.
a definitely value.
There was no way in hell I was going to take Josh Allen, take him over Josh Allen. I like Allen a lot better.
So do I.
That was an easy pick for me. This is a really good value though for him, so I can't really complain.
I wanted him a lot to fall to me. I was going to say, I was going to be cheering in the streets, being able to pair him as my quarterback 2 behind Kyler. Again, I've mentioned before, I'm still high on him. I still think in a dynasty that he's my current quarterback 6. He went from 3 to 6 for me. I mean, you definitely have to value the loss of Hopkins, but I just think as a talent, I mean, regardless, like he's not going to re-sign in Houston, and no matter where he goes, he's instantly going to be subjected to a much better offense. And we've seen since basically his rookie season on a points per game basis, he's been a top 5 guy, top 5 option. So for me there, it really was a no-brainer. Like that it was going to be my pick. However, obviously Nick took him. So pivoting off that, I was thinking, okay, I want to secure my RB2 with either Swift or Taylor. Swift went off the pick before me, so it made my decision easier in taking Taylor. So I know I've taken him a lot recently, but what are your guys' thoughts on that? Taylor 308.
I mean, it makes sense there. I'd rather have him over a guy like Miles Sanders and Kenyon Drake any day. I mean, the other running backs that are still available, like Leonard Fournette. I mean, I like Leonard Fournette this year in redraft, but if you're talking about dynasty, he's on the last year of his contract, I believe. Then what happens? Where does he go? So I'd rather just take a safe guy like Jonathan Taylor, who I think could be potentially an RB1 this year and for the future based on his landing spot. Obviously, we're drafting right now without knowing where he's going to go. But with that said, I like that pick there. So anyone else got an opinion on that?
No, I like it. Obviously, the rookies should be valued around this time. I think it's a good pick, and I think Danny's going to end up rolling around and getting DeAndre Swift as well here.
DeAndre Swift's gone.
It'd be kind of hard. He already got taken.
Oh,
Yeah.
Putting
depending on
gifs down in the fucking
I was
chat.
just looking after. I kind of just assumed that Taylor's the first guy that's coming off. So, like, yeah, gosh, I didn't even look before you. But, yeah, no, they both are off. My bad.
Depending on who Gopalipsy goes here, though, I will be taking a rookie, so you'll see who I take.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my God, he hopped on right after the fucking auto pick.
Oh, that's a real. Sorry, bud.
I mean, it's Joe Burrow here, getting him at the 405. Again, I'd value him as an early third-round pick personally, so I personally view that as a steal. Again, I mentioned previously he is my quarterback 8 in Dynasty, just simply because I look at the talent. I look what he's able to do with LSU this year. He's going to get first overall pick draft capital. They're going to build a team around him. I just think he's a talented player. So getting him at the 405 to be my quarterback 2 behind Kyler Murray, I'm stoked, especially with that RB core I'm building up between them. So I really love the value here. I love how my team's turning out. So what are you guys' thoughts on Burrow?
Oh, I like Burrow a lot. I just don't know how much I trust him necessarily because I know we talked about this in the last video, but I don't know if Joe Burrow is really going to be that guy that a lot of people believe he is. I hope he is. He looked very good in college, but with that said, what do you guys think about Joe Burrow?
I mean, like, what is everyone projecting him for?
I mean, I personally think he's got top 5 upside. Like, not year one, obviously, but I mean in the long term. I think he's got top 5 upside in the long term simply because he's got first-round draft capital. He showed in college how truly special of a player he actually is. I mean, is anyone going to dispute how good of a player he is simply based on the season he just had? I mean,
A little bit. If you're gonna argue the Clyde Edwards-Helaire production take, then you have to argue Joe Burrow. It's the same conversation.
I mean, everybody's going to try to nitpick people down as much as they can. I mean, people are going to find a way to nitpick Trevor Lawrence next year. People are going to find a way to nitpick Justin Fields. I mean, it always happens to high-end quarterback prospects.
Yeah.
I just look at it. He's almost a guarantee at this point. Let's be honest here. How shocked would you guys be if he wasn't the first overall pick?
Very
We're
shocked.
But I mean, I guess I don't know. Obviously, you can't project top 5 next year.
Oh, no,
I don't even know if the year after.
Not even remotely. Again,
to put together a top 5 fantasy season, not only you have to, like, your offense has to be good, but your whole team has to be good. The Bengals team is far from that.
But they have the pieces on offense, like coming back. I mean, like we mentioned, even though AJ Green's old, he's still a good piece. Tyler Boyd, John Ross, a good breakout candidate. And they have the pieces in the draft. They have the draft capital to be able to build an offensive line, especially around guys like Jonah Williams and Billy Price. So I like what they have. And again, I'm a fan of Zach Taylor, especially what I've seen, like what he was able to do with the Rams too. I mean, like we haven't really seen the sample size. I just like the theory of, we're going to really bring pace to our offense. Joe Burrow's a guy who's really going to be able to elevate with a fast-paced offense. I mean, we saw what happened with Kyler Murray this year, for example, being subjected to a system like that. I'm really high as Burrow as a talent. I mean, he's my quarterback one in this class. He's going to go first overall. Getting him at the 4th round in a startup draft, I just think it was too much value to pass up.
Yeah, I get that. So after Joe Burrow was another rookie, Tua. Obviously, Tua is going to be a great pick for the future this year. Who knows if he even steps on the field. After that, I went with A.J. Brown over Odell. If I'm being honest with you, the reasoning is I just hate Odell Beckham Jr. You would never catch me drafting him. I don't believe in him. I'd rather just take a more risky shot on A.J. Brown. After that, Jay Love went with Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Then Odell, Stephon Diggs. Tyler went with Kerryon Johnson. So there seems to be a trend between the last 2 videos. Tyler likes picking injury-prone running backs, apparently.
Yeah, what the hell is that? Come on.
I just like doing I just like picking them in bunches. A healthy Kerryon is incredibly effective.
I agree.
That's a big
and I will take that.
All right, I'm not arguing that, but you can't say healthy Kerryon because name a healthy Kerryon time or chunk in the season.
His rookie year.
Yeah.
He was pretty
He
healthy.
was like,
he was hold on. Whoa, no, he wasn't. Oh, you're joking. Okay, I'm a fucking dumbass.
He was so healthy, dude. Come on.
Listen, on the chance that that's why I went with a more safer kind of guy with my next pick. So I just I'll take the home run hit if it's there, and Montgomery's on the field at least.
But at best, you can. Okay, so you took an injury-prone running back, Kerryon. Why wouldn't you just take an injury-prone Todd Gurley? That is the workhorse. That is in a very much better offense.
It was thought about, but I also want to make sure this team is young because it kind of is chalking up that way, even though that wasn't my initial intention. So after Julio, I'm gonna be looking for younger wide receivers later on in the draft. I want to try and balance this team a little bit better for a dynasty startup with keeping myself young, while at the same time making sure I have my bases covered and I have a really solid starting team.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I like David Montgomery a lot, actually, in the 5th round, if I'm being honest with you. I would have just taken him over Kerryon in the 4-11 and then just said fuck it and drafted someone like
I just kind of felt, real quick, looking at the team before me, he was going to go with a guy like Kerryon. I just want to make sure I had both of them because that guy kind of has some more established players. So I wanted to take a guy Kerryon before Montgomery, but still, either way works.
Yeah, I know the guy who made the pick is a fan of my channel. He picked Devin Singletary. So I like Devin Singletary's talent. I just don't think he will ever be the lead back on the team. They're always going to bring someone else in. So that obviously hurts his fantasy value. So that's why I wouldn't really draft him in the 4th round. But
yeah, definitely. He's definitely not a draft there for me at the 4-12. I mean, I know I've said it before, especially in our previous video. Sorry, but I just think it's so likely that they bring in a nice compliment to him, like an AJ Dillon, for example, in the draft. Because simply put, like, as much as I like him as a talent, like he's 5'7", 200 pounds. He's not like as much as we want to believe he can be a workhorse. An NFL team simply won't give him workhorse touches long term. I mean, we saw with Lindsey this year. He was such an effective back. I think Lindsey's a good back, but NFL teams just won't commit to a guy of that stature long term. It's just proven. It's been proven in the past. It will be proven for the future. And I just saw that GIF added to the chat. But those are just my thoughts on Singletary. I mean, I know obviously Lucas, you're a little bit higher on him. So what are your thoughts on Singletary there?
I mean, I guess I just look at it as you don't have to be a workhorse to produce fantasy production. We've seen James White and Tariq Cohen and many different worse scat backs. Darren Sproles was effective in fantasy. Freaking Austin Eckler was the RB4 last year, and he wasn't even the full-time back. So I think what you have to look at it, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not going to say he's not a workhorse, so he's not going to produce fantasy value because if this offense is what they did last year, now adding Stephon Diggs, which in real-life football, that's adding a huge element. The defense is fantastic. It has to be up there for top 5 defense in the NFL. It's not going to matter if he's not a workhorse because the workhorse in that offense is getting 3.5 to 4 yards per carry. But the scat back or the off-pace back is the one that's breaking those 20-yard receptions, those 20 to 30-yard rushes. And it obviously, like, volume is king when it comes to, like, projecting and, like, feeling good about your offense. But Raheem Mostert last year, if he's taking 8 carries for 140 yards and a touchdown, it doesn't matter. That's just as good as someone going for 20 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's the 4th round. I think that's where it might be pushing it a little bit, because I think I would still rather have a guy like Melvin Gordon or Todd Gurley right now over him. I get like age and all that stuff, but I think that stuff can be fixed when you actually have a dynasty team and you can work that out. That's why I don't want to like subjective myself or like fixate myself on like, I like him better, ranking him higher because he's younger, because that isn't. It's about length. They're going to get their volume in their career, not about how long they're going to be in the NFL.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, before my pick was DJ Chark, and then I went with Calvin Ridley, Michael Gallup, I should say, and then Danny went with Keenan Allen. Now, I was debating between Ridley and Keenan Allen, but I just decided to stay young. I said, fuck it. My other wide receiver's young. I'll stay young. Why did you pick Keenan Allen over a guy like Cooper Kupp or anyone else?
I mean, I just love what Keenan Allen brings you. I mean, he's been a top 10 receiver for the past 4 years. I mean, getting him at the 5'8" here, he can be like I only need him to be a low end wide receiver 1 for me, and he's going to return excellent value on that. So get him at the 5'8" to pair with my team. I got my 2 quarterbacks. I got my 2 running backs. I love the fit here. I mean, I contemplated a guy like Cam Akers, but I just thought it was more likely I'd get him on the turn as opposed to losing on a talent like Keenan Allen. So that's why I took him. But again, like, a guy like Cam Akers would have been in consideration as well.
I like Thielen a bit better. I think just the offensive upside is better for Thielen. But hey, I can't disagree with the pick. You get Keenan Allen at 5.8, pretty good value.
Yeah.
If you were to make rankings right now, you're like, obviously you would not put DJ Chark. Okay, like overall dynasty rankings, Keenan Allen's only 2 years older than Calvin Ridley, 3 than Michael Gallup. I don't know. DJ Chark's fucking wash anyways. That's a super bust pick right there. But Keenan Allen is such a value in drafts. The man's 27. He's finished his PPR wide receiver 6 last year with Phillip Rivers as his quarterback. Yes, he might have Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor's going to bring something to that offense that Phillip Rivers didn't, which is going to be a good thing to me. That's how I kind of look at it. Adding a rushing quarterback to an offense with that good offensive line, they've made good moves. I think I'm kind of leaning that they're going to take Otako at 6 come this draft. I've just kind of leaned that way lately. Their defense is fantastic. Their cornerback 3 is Chris Harris Jr. Like, come on, that man's a Pro Bowl corner as their cornerback 3. And I think Keenan Allen's prime for a big year, to be honest. And I think I like Ridley and I like Gallup, but I don't think we can project Keenan Allen to be lower than those 2, to be honest with you.
Oh, I understand
Sorry, I was going to say, to add to that, I mean, their 2 top considerations, number 6 overall, are offensive tackle and quarterback. Either or is going to help Keenan Allen regardless, because whoever's going to be back, there's going to have more time with the quarterback that's going to be brought in to feed Keenan Allen down the field. And if they bring another quarterback in, I mean, what are the chances he's really going to play worse than even what Phillip Rivers played last season? Like, Phillip Rivers was terrible last year.
Yeah.
And the man's going to play for the next 6-7 years. He's going to play until he's 34, 30. Like, it's just the type of receiver he is. Like, he's a Julio Jones type of receiver, like a huge dude that's going to get 10+ targets a game. So, I mean, obviously I didn't take him. I wasn't going to take him in the 4th round because of the quarterbacks, but like, if he was there for my pick, I definitely would have smashed that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so after, you can go.
I was going to say, segueing into that, we saw, like, obviously you're just about to do it, but like I was thinking about it, but we saw Cooper Kupp, Melvin Gordon, and Cam Akers go off the board. Again, Cam Akers was a guy I was considering at that 508. I just thought it was more likely that he would make it back to me around than a guy like Keenan Allen would. But then we saw Lucas team up DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin, and I will just say I am a huge fan of that move. I mean, those 2 young, talented second-year wide receivers, I just find are going to be extreme values in drafts this year. I mean, 900 yards in their rookie seasons, really doing it in not the greatest situation. Like, I mean, DK projecting forward is going to be in a great situation, but look at last year. He didn't have a lot of volume to him per se, but he was just so efficient with the ball in his hands. And I really target guys who are able to produce on an efficient basis in the rookie years, just simply because you're able to project the volume to increase over time. So I love those 2 receivers. I mean, you guys can add to it, but those are incredible values. I definitely would have considered either or if they made it to my 605. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, I want to pivot real quick. So after Lucas went with DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, then Daniel Jones came off the board, followed by Deebo Samuel, CeeDee Lamb, Robert Woods, Adam Thielen. I went with Tyler Boyd. Then Evan Ingram came off the board, followed by Chris Carson, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, Todd Gurley. So Tyler does it yet again. He drafts Matt Stafford 2 drafts in a row, but this time he discovered that he doesn't have to pick him in the 3rd round. Who would have done it?
Well, I will say, hey, listen, it's a little different. Look at last draft in comparison to this one. How many quarterbacks have actually gone off? Like, I mean, so you just got a game plan, guys. That's huge. Your draft, you got to play it. You can't really predict what guys in your league are going to do. You got to play it off of what is handed to you. And if you get handed an opportunity to let Stafford fall all the way back to you, you should. Because I was thinking about it with the Keyshawn Montgomery pick, and I went ahead and duoed running backs and prayed on a limb that he would get back to me. He did, and I'm feeling really good right now with my team, especially since I'm going to go ahead and add Tyler Lockett here and establish that wide receiver core.
But before can we pivot back to the Cam Akers pick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So okay, I'm not saying Cam Akers is bad. I love his talent. He's a fantastic athlete. But what draft capital is going to give him more volume than Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, even David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, like all these guys in the next 2-3 years?
I mean, from a short-term standpoint, you could definitely argue that Carson, Gurley, and Johnson, and even Bell are going to give you the floor. They're going to give you the volume right away. But I just look at it. If he's getting 2nd, 3rd round hypothetical value, he's going to end up being the workhorse anywhere he goes. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his film. He's my RB3 in this class. No matter where he goes, I feel like he's going to have a 15 touch a game type of role at the very minimum. And he's doing it at 22 years old. He's going to do it with 4 years left on his rookie contract. Whereas the other guys, I mean, Carson's coming off a fractured hip. Gurley's got no knees. And David Johnson, man, like that guy is the most washed freaking running back I've ever.
Yeah, but he's going to get 150 carries this year.
Oh, but how good are those carries going to be? I just don't see the
Carlos
upside.
Hyde is a 1,000-yard rusher.
For sure, but I mean, like I'm talking about upside in terms of fantasy. Was Carlos Hyde a top 15 running back in fantasy?
Let's find out. He didn't catch the ball.
I don't think so, but like Duke Johnson is like irrelevant in that system. They don't use him correctly. So David
Carlos
Johnson
Hyde is running back 30. I guess. Okay, what I'm saying is, you can't take a risk on Cam Akers in the 5th round because
we don't know where he's going to go.
Here's the thing: he's going to be the 4th running back off the board, maybe the 3rd, like maybe the 3rd, maybe even the 6th. If some team goes Zach Moss, AJ Dillon ahead of him. There is not 6 teams that need a workhorse or a running back that's going to get more touches in the next 2-3 years than Chris Carson, Todd Gurley, David Johnson. Like there's not at best 4 teams.
I was going to say if Carson was 100% healthy, I would totally agree with that. But just the hip is scary, man. Like a fractured hip, you have to keep in mind, like that's a big hit on a running back like that. He's such a physical in between the tackles runner. Now, if he's fully healthy, I mean, I fully see it. We've seen him become a top 10 running back option when healthy. I just think like you got to factor that in, man. But Carson's upside, definitely, I fully agree. I probably would have taken Carson over Akers simply at that spot. But again, I still love Akers, and now I'm on the clock, and I'm going to take another rookie running back that somehow fell to me here. If I can just hop on real quick. Is he here? Wait. Dobbins?
Yeah, Dobbins still there.
Okay, dope. Yeah, Dobbins at the 708. I mean, I look at it, it's basically a similar pick to Akers, except I'm getting him 2 rounds later. So, I love the value there. I mean, get him as my RB3. I'm loving the way my team's looking. But what do you guys thoughts on Dobbins at 708?
No, I like that. I honestly would pick him over Akers if I'm being honest with you. I mean, at this value, it's amazing. I think J.K. Dobbins, to me, is the 3 in Dynasty over Akers. I get the Akers love, but I just think Dobbins is a bit better. But that's nothing like completely different. I mean, they're very close to each other in skill, in my opinion, for where they'd finish in fantasy. But I do like Dobbins there at the 7-8. It's much more valuable than having Cam Akers at the 5. What was that, 5'11"? 5'11". Yeah.
I mean, I agree. We just saw Damian Williams go off the board. What are you guys' thoughts on him at 7-11?
I mean,
it's – I don't know. You can't take Cam Akers and then go take Damian Williams. Like, I don't know where those two add up in terms of, like, for the future or win now type pick.
For all we know, they could end up on the same team.
Yeah, they 100%
like,
could.
Literally.
To recap real quick, after I went with Boyd, Evan Ingram came off the board, Chris Carson, Aaron Rodgers, Matty Snapback, Todd Gurley, Devontae Parker, Tyler Lockett, David Johnson, and a quarterback run of Ryan Tannehill, Horsecock, Drew Lock. I went with Jared Goff, and then Drew Brees, J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Teddy Bridgewater, Damian Williams, Le'Veon Bell. So why would you think about taking Teddy Bridgewater in the 7th round? I have no idea.
Man, I guess like when you have no quarterback through 7 rounds, it forces your hand, but there's literally no upside with Teddy Bridgewater whatsoever. I mean, would you, like, hypothetically considering here, where would you take him in terms of quarterback rankings? Like, he'd probably be around the 20 to 24 range.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I'll say this. I mean, I'll take. Let's look at who's on the board right now. Are you able to?
Sammy Mono.
My boy's still on the board here. Like you, as much as you guys hate Sammy Mono, there's no way you're taking Teddy Bridgewater over Sam Darnold here.
Yeah,
like not a chance.
No way. I mean, Tyler,
name
off the other guys real quick.
Where is DJ Moore ranked at in your dynasty rankings for receivers?
Wide receiver 6.
Where's Christian McCaffrey?
Obviously, but I mean,
are you high on Curtis Samuel?
Now we could hype up the situation all we want. We could hype up the situation all we want, but I just don't think Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback.
Oh,
but
I just don't think he's a high volume quarterback.
What I'm saying is, you cannot be high on DJ Moore, say that Curtis Samuel is a breakout candidate, and say Robbie Anderson's a deep threat with Ian Thomas there, and say Teddy Bridgewater there's no upside. If there's no upside with Teddy B, there's no upside with any of those players.
I just
don't think
being a good quarterback.
I don't think Teddy B being your number 1 quarterback is good at all.
Oh no, not a chance. But
well, that's different. Going to take him over Darnold.
I see him as maybe like a mid to low end quarterback too, which is about where I had him there. If you think about it,
I think he's
quarterback 20. That's about mid to low end.
Well, if you're going to say he's quarterback 20, I mean. Let's look at how many guys we got off the board so far.
If you're going to go back to comparing him to Sam Darnold, what is the difference?
Well,
Sam Darnold has upside in the future. Sam Darnold's actually a
talented
quarterback.
You can't say your talent.
19.
Wait, so he's going off at quarterback 20. What's the complaint?
Okay, but is that 20 there? I don't know. 7-10 just seems valuable considering the guys that went off the board here. Sure, I'm just gonna make my pick and I'll.
Yeah, I mean, I took Teddy Bridgewater in the other mock we did in like the 12th round. So I mean, just the 7th round is where it's like kind of scary because you could probably wait a lot longer on him.
I lost my time, man.
You got Christian Kirk. It's okay.
That sucks.
Whatever.
Wait, but can
you just change that quick to regular?
Who did you want?
You change it to regular Jefferson? I don't know. Man,
can we circle back to the? So okay. Here, the thing with Teddy B is you can't say there's no upside. I don't care if he's not a good quarterback because we've never seen him play a full season, injuries, whatever. We've never seen that. What'd you watch last year? He went 5-0.
I mean,
I get that he was on a really good.
But if you actually watch the games, I'm pretty sure his yards per attempt was only 6.3 on the season.
Okay,
so 6.3 yards per attempt.
Super accurate.
So
but
he's accurate throwing 6 yards on the field. My fucking grandma could do that.
You're going to give him the best pass catching back, and you're going to be upset that he's only throwing it 6 yards. I'm not.
Here, I'm pulling up.
He's a Bridgewater owner. Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take completions over Darnold trying to wing the ball.
All I'm saying is there's absolutely no talent to throwing the ball 6 yards down the field. Like they're literally.
But you're not drafting talent. You're drafting fantasy points.
And I get that, but I'm saying like his talent is going to limit his upside as a fantasy quarterback.
It's different.
Like his situation, don't get me wrong, his situation is what makes him relevant. If he wasn't in that situation,
why was Tom Brady such a good fantasy quarterback? He threw checkdowns all the time.
He's actually a good quarterback. He actually can throw the ball down the field. He actually can throw the ball down the field if he needs to.
If you don't need to throw it down the field because you're winning games, you don't need to. Why would he do that?
What makes Teddy a good quarterback? He's throwing the ball 6 yards on the field. Okay, you're accurate throwing 6-yard passes. Yeah. So you guys actually think Teddy's a good quarterback?
Hold up.
Just from watching the games.
Look at the roster. You can either throw it deep to Traquan Smith or you can give it to Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Why would he have tried to throw it?
What from watching last season, what actually jumped off the screen to you that Teddy Bridgewater is a talented quarterback?
You went 5-0.
You went 5-0.
Okay, but people are going to argue record again. Like for example, there's so many quarterbacks that can win if they're put in the exact situation they need to be.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater showed me nothing that he actually excelled the situation he was in. Like there's people arguing on Twitter, Dak, blah, 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 went 8-8. Like, are you kidding me? If you watch anything from last season, he pushed the ball down the field at a remarkable rate. He threw 30 touchdowns. I mean, I'm not talking about Dak compared to Teddy. I'm just saying, like, quarterback wins is the most overrated stat in the NFL.
Not when you're in the playoffs. Come on.
You got to look at the overall situation, Tyler. You got to look
but here, go back. We can't leave this Sam Darnold thing. You're saying he has more talent, but you cannot say 100%
he has more talent.
Okay, but you cannot say he has
long term. He has more upside than Teddy Bridgewater. Long term, definitely 100%.
But Teddy Bridgewater's receivers are 22, 23, 26. He has an overall.
I get that. I've already acknowledged that his situation is better. But even last season, what was Teddy? Right now, what was Teddy Bridgewater's points per game in fantasy in his starts? In the Saints, which is one of the best offensive situations in the freaking league.
Yeah, that's based off of short yard passing. You know that.
Which is your whole argument towards making him a good quarterback. The whole argument towards making him a good quarterback.
I got you.
If you're Michael Thomas and Kamara, why would you throw it deep? That is ignorant.
Okay, but the short passes not contribute to fantasy points? So you're saying that because he threw short passes, that affected his fantasy finish? Is that not what you're going to be getting when you your lineup?
I got the numbers pulled up. Guess Michael Thomas's average depth of target.
He had 2 total catches 20 yards down the field last year.
Guess his average depth of target.
I don't know, probably under 10.
801, right? Yeah. Okay, guess Drew Brees' yards per attempt.
Okay, but you see what Drew Brees does. Drew Brees actually has volume, though. Drew Brees actually throws a lot.
No, he doesn't. He had 7.9. His number was 7.9.
Yeah, that's a lot more than 6.3. What do you mean?
7.1 was Teddy B's.
6.3.
Pro Football. I literally just pulled up Pro Football Reference. Average yards per attempt.
You sure?
Average yards per attempt.
I swear. Maybe it was yards per completion, but
that's not. You can't that. That's the average yards per attempt.
Daddy, try to make a pick here. I mean, here.
It's my pick again.
Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I think he will have games where he's like a top 10 guy because he dumps the ball off to Christian McCaffrey and he takes it to the house 3 fucking times. But I don't really like him as much as you guys do either. I'd prefer Darnold over him. But with that said, after Teddy Bridgewater went, then Damian Williams, then Lucas went with Le'Veon Bell and Hollywood Brown. I love Le'Veon Bell over Damian Williams there, 100%. I don't know why that guy. He fell asleep at the wheel drafting Damian Williams, followed by Zach Ertz, Gardner Minshew, Sam Darnold, Jalen Reagor, Henry Ruggs. I went with Darrell Henderson, Mike Williams, Kareem Hunt, Christian Kirk. Tyler went with Noah Fant. Then Kirk Cousins, Darius Geis. Tyler went with Jarvis Landry, Mark Ingram, Brandon Cooks, Jordan Howard. I went with John Brown, Philip Lindsay. Danny went with Justin Jefferson, Irv Smith, Darren Waller, TB12, and Lucas is on the clock. Before we hear what Danny has to say about his picks, Lucas, what do you think of here?
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm going to say, but go.
I'm looking this way.
Talk about your picks.
All right. So Noah Fant's a great grab there.
Yeah.
I love that pull.
Yeah.
So very, very excited about that one. And then Jarvis Landry, why the hell is he going this late? He's the best. He's going to be the best receiver in that offense.
He's not going to play the start of the year. He was out 60. He's out I think it was 4 to 8 months or something.
And they literally have 5 mouths to feed in that offense.
They have one Nick Chubb. OBJ's trash.
Yeah, what else? Garbage.
Kareem Hunt.
You say that.
Austin Hooper.
You can say that now, but no one said that last year, and everyone drafted OBJ high. So I feel like now is it's obviously they do. I don't even know who I'm trying to pick here.
OBJ is just not an effective running back.
That was a great pick. I love Pollard.
I agree. I mean, he's not an effective wide receiver. But Danny, what were you thinking when you went with Reagor and Jefferson?
I mean, I was thinking between Reagor and Hunt at that pick, simply because I look at Hunt's value. I mean, he's got standalone value for this year. I just kind of picked Reagor because my time ran out. But if I really evaluated more, I probably would have taken Hunt. But again, you got Reagor. He's going to be top 40 draft capital. I just think he's a talented receiver. Took Jefferson in the 9th round. I mean, at that value, I just would much prefer him. Not much prefer him, but I would prefer him slightly to guys like Harry and McCole Hardman, who just went off just after him. So, I mean, I like the value there. But again, my pick there would have been Fant, and that just absolutely got ripped from my heart. So, yeah. And here, I mean, I think I have him queued, but let me just check my queue just to make sure, because I have to drop off my phone, by the way, because if you guys haven't checked my screen for whatever reason, this app is broken and it won't show up on my screen. So, yeah, I'm just gonna take Henry here. I mean, 10th round. I mean, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But on a points per game basis, he's gonna deliver you top 6, 7 type of value. So, I mean, at the 10th round here, I just think it was worth the risk. So what are you guys' thoughts?
I think it's worth the risk at that point. I mean, Hunter Henry has the potential to be like a top 5 tight end every single week, but he's just one of those guys who's always going to get hurt. So that obviously worries me. I probably would draft him there, but looking at the tight ends that went above him, like I would much rather have Hunter Henry than a guy like Zach Ertz or Irv Smith by like 1,000.
Agreed.
So. Now, my picks, I went with Darrell Henderson, John Brown, and then I went Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know Tyler loves him, but Darrell Henderson, we had an argument in the last video about this, how some people think Darrell Henderson's good. Other people think it's going to be Malcolm Brown, this, that, and the other thing. I just see too much upside in Darrell Henderson in the 8th round to not pick him. And then Lucas went with N'Keal Harry and Tony Pollard. So what was your thinking between both those guys?
I mean, I think N'Keal Harry is a solid value. I'm not like super confident in the pick. I mean, you can't project a new quarterback coming in and being good, but who's to say that a new quarterback's not going to like him? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just more of it's a homer pick. I'd rather have him than McCole Hardman. Preston Williams' injury still kind of scares me. Will Fuller, I'm not even going to talk about. And then I was looking at T.Y., but his injury kind of scares me. And then Pollard, I mean, Zeke has an out in his contract next year. They're going to get rid of him, and they're gonna fix the cap mistake pretty simple next year. So I think I like Pollard there for sure.
All right,
I
so
can see it. And even if they don't move on from Zeke, I mean, Pollard's going to get a starting running back opportunity in the short term, in my opinion, just based off what he flashed last season. I mean, I think he's an ultra talented back. Again, I said it as soon as you picked it. I think 10th round there is where he should go, and I think the upside he could pay off is tremendous. But yeah, no, those are just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, what do you guys think about Keyshawn Dawn in the 10th round out of Vanderbilt?
I want to talk about this. I want to scream this. Okay, he's not a 10th round value. This is dumb. The pick
He's
was
not
dumb,
going to be a starting running back.
I know. Hold up. Hey, I didn't say he was. I don't think he's worth the 10 pick at all. However, in rookie drafts, if you do not know who this is, this guy is probably the best sleeper running back there is. This guy can do literally everything in an offense. He can pass, he can catch, his pass blocking, the effort, he's not great at it, but the effort he puts into it shows that no matter what team he's going to go to, he is going to put in a lot of effort. He's going to be a competitor at every single stage. He's not a guy who gives up on plays. He's going to be a coach's dream, and he's going to go to a situation, hopefully he goes to a situation that he's going to be quite effective in, because I love him as a prospect, even though we won't get the draft capital.
My problem with Keyshawn Dawn is probably something that you love about him. I like him as a backup running back you can get in the 4th, 5th round. The problem with him is he has no special traits that I see. He's just a good all-around type of player, which is what you draft your backups to be. And he's coming out. He's 23 years old at this point. I mean, you just don't see good running backs come out so late. I mean, it's statistically proven that most stud running backs come out when they're first-year eligibles. I mean, look at it. You got Saquon Barkley, you got Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, all those guys came out when they're first-year eligibles. It's just a proven thing. When you're good enough to be a starting running back in the NFL, you come out as soon as you're eligible to leave college. So his age really concerns me. I like him as a player. When I was watching him on film, he looked really good on film. He's good at everything. It's just, again, the lack of elite traits in the age really concerns me in terms of a fantasy perspective on him. So those are my thoughts on Vaughn.
Philip Lindsay came out at 23. It's not impossible to be a good running back just because you're old. I mean, you can come out as a veteran guy and have the establishment and be a really good back. And I think he will be, because he's going to fight for a position on a team and be quite effective. I really do believe it. Even if he won't get the initial starting, he won't. It's just the capital won't be there to make it happen. Sometimes 2nd round backs don't have the capital to be starters immediately. But I really, really do get behind this guy. And if you have taxi squad spots and you're sitting in the 3rd round and he's staring at you, take him, put him there, because I swear he will be effective.
3rd round rookie draft, I have absolutely no problem touching a guy like that. I thought when you said like value in the draft, you're going to mention like mid-second, which I would have argued you on.
I would take him in the mid-second without an issue.
Like 204, 205 over the receivers available?
Would be off the board.
I mean, hypothetically, the 204, 205, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, I mean, you're going to have guys like Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love probably go in that region.
Pass. Unless it's SuperFlex, then I'll take Love.
No, we're referring to SuperFlex here, obviously.
Okay, so I'll take Love. there.
What about Hurts?
No.
You're taking Vaughn over Hurts. You're taking Vaughn over Hurts.
There's no way until he's starting.
There's no way until Vaughn is starting. There's a higher chance that Hurts becomes a starting quarterback than Vaughn becomes a starting running back. I mean, you can't argue that.
I'm not joking. Eason ran like 0.3 what is it, tenths slower than him. I'm not even joking.
I'm not talking about
He's
Eason
not
right
that
now. I'm
fast.
talking about Hurts compared to Vaughn.
I'm saying that
okay, like
all right, I'm gonna circle back to a point Tyler made. You were talking about how you were kind of saying how like age doesn't matter when it comes to Dynasty, and I think I don't want to say that it does matter because age matters, but
it matter. I'm just saying
name how many players. I mean, we haven't been playing Dynasty that long to know. Name how many players you keep on your Dynasty team for more than 3+ years. There's more attached to it than just, oh, he's going to be the starter for the next 6 years, because we were mentioning Mark Ingram on our channel. The value Mark Ingram's going to bring you in 2 years is worth more than 100 carries in a very bad offense for 6 years is going to be. You have to look at it like how it's actually going to affect your team, because in a way you're always trying to win. You're trying to win money. You're trying to win money every single year and not lose money. So you have to look at it at what value he's going to bring. Because say Vaughn goes to the Chiefs, he'll be a mid-round 2 rookie draft, and you're going to want to take him because Damian Williams has had trouble with injuries. LaShawn McCoy's not there. Darrell Williams not good. Perfect opportunity to slide in your round 2 rookie pick, give you 5 or 6 weeks where you're going to win, go in the playoffs, and then you just sell him right there. So I think you made a good point of like I don't want to say age doesn't matter, but that can't be your only factor when it comes to evaluating players, because say someone doesn't like how old he is. Okay, you're just going to get him at a later pick at a better value. And then in the long term, you're going to be better off in that case.
I was going to say, to me, the age more so affects his draft capital than him as a prospect, or than him as a fantasy asset.
Because
Because
what I'm saying is capital doesn't matter. He's just
draft capital 100% matters. What do you mean? Draft capital is the main thing.
I said for him because he won't get drafted in the third. He won't second, first. That's not even in the.
He'll probably be a 5th round pick, give or take.
But he's the kind of talent, and you watch him fight just to make a freaking block on a blitzing right outside linebacker. Just watch the effort he puts in.
I mentioned he's good at everything. Like he's good at everything, but he has no elite traits that'll translate towards being a good back in the NFL. He could definitely be a change of pace tandem back. I still see that. Like he's a good player. I like the player. I just, in terms of a fantasy asset, I just don't see the upside with him.
Okay, let's look at some teams here that we pieced together.
Yeah, here, let me read Tyler's team first. We're going to recap all the teams that we did. Obviously, we're not going to recap everyone's team because this will take far too long. So Tyler's first pick was Christian McCaffrey, followed by Josh Allen, Julio Jones, Kerryon, David Montgomery, Matthew Stafford, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, Jarvis Landry, T.Y. Hilton, James White. First, I'll go quick. I mean, Sony Michel got sniped from him, so he had to go with the other back, New England. But overall, I think this team's much better than his last one. I am worried about Kerryon, but overall, I think this is easily a B to B+ team. I mean, Noah Fant, I know we suck him off every single video. We've blown Noah Fant multiple times, but we just all love him. I think Noah Fant has the potential to be like a top 5 tight end. But with that said, I like the team.
Can I mention? I'm not saying Noah Fant doesn't have the talent to blow off, but say they draft a receiver at 15. If draft capital is everything, that guy is going to be the number 2 receiving weapon. Like Noah Fant doesn't have the volume. He doesn't. There's no way for Noah Fant to command that and ask to command that because come on, he had like 2 games last year and he dropped a lot of balls last year. He was very inconsistent, and the team's a run first team. Maybe we'll see how Pat Shurmur kind of goes through with that. They're running a zone scheme, so I like the pick. I still just think his ADP is like too early because yes, the upside is there, but what realistically is his upside compared to a guy like my guy Tyler Higbee is going to be the tight end 1 for the Rams. We saw what he did last year. Darren Waller is going to be a top 5 tight end for the next 3-4 years, wherever his extension is, just due to volume. Because right now they don't have a receiver. I don't know if they're going to add a receiver because who knows if the receivers are even going to be there at that pick, whatever the case may be. So, I love Noah Fant as a prospect, and you got your guy, whatever the case may be. I just think it might be a little too early.
Okay. The way I view it, Bush mentioned this in the previous video we were doing. I just want to see young, talented players be efficient with their touches. And what I saw from Noah Fant last year is
he was not.
He was efficient when he got the ball.
If you actually he dropped so many passes last year and he was just not open on so many routes.
He just doesn't he's the type of player who doesn't need a lot of volume to produce in fantasy though. He produced as a top 15 guy last year
That's not that hard to be a top 15 tight end.
Oh, I know,
Like
but
Darren Fells was a tight end 1.
He did it in a limited sample size, though. You saw it last year. I mean, he developed a rapport down the stretch with Drew Lock. He's still young. He's still talented. They brought Pat Shermer in, who's going to absolutely increase their pass percentages, their pass splits. At this point in time, Cortland Sutton's the only receiver that really take targets from him. I mean, obviously we expect him to add the receiver, but say they go offensive line in the first round, or say they add a guy like Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is not going to be the type of receiver who's going to command 100 targets a year. He's going to play the Will Fuller role in that offense. So
but that's what Darren Noah Fant is, a downfield stretching tight end.
And I get that, but I mean, when I look at Noah Fant, he's just the type of player that he's not going to need like a Zach Ertz type of volume workload where you're going to need to feed him 8 to 10 times a game for him to be a productive player. He's the type of player where you give him 4 or 5 targets a game, he's going to take one to the house, like flat out. Like he's just such an athletic freak, and I loved him out of college. I mean, they spent the top 15 draft capital on him. He showed flashes in his rookie year. I mean, I love Hawkinson as well, but we can all agree that we saw more from Fant than we did from Hawkinson last year, regardless of our evaluations.
Oh, that's injury-wise.
And I get that, but I mean, like in terms of like a per-game basis, let's just say hypothetically. And the situation just
you can't compare per-game basis either because Hawkinson's like the 5th option in that offense, and Fant was the second, but not by talent, but by lack of weapons there.
So you're saying he wasn't the number 2 there because of his talent? Or you say it was solely due? You're saying it was solely due to the situation he was in, not because he wasn't even the starting tight.
He wasn't even the starting tight end for half the year.
But that also happens with the rookie curve, anyways. I mean, you look at it all the time. Coaches are stubborn. Everybody knows coaches are stubborn. They're not going to freaking play their rookies sometimes just to say, "Oh, I want to get my veteran in there." You see it all the time. So I mean, you're really going to say for half the season,
I guess
tight end on that roster.
I was saying it relatively to that's way too early ADP. So we can look at this 2 ways. Well, one, you're telling me you have Noah Fant over Darren Waller in your rookie rankings, in your dynasty rankings.
In a dynasty, now I love Waller. I think he's a great player. I mean, they're probably going to be in a similar range for me. It's just you have to take in the fact that when Hunter Renfrow played last year, Darren Waller's splits per game changed dramatically. Like when Hunter Renfrow played, he was getting all the slot targets for that offense. And that, like, I love Waller. I think last year he was phenomenal. It's just if we didn't have those concerns, he would easily be a top 5 dynasty tight end for me. It's just you have to take that into account, and it's going to bump his ADP down a bit. Again, they're probably around 5-pick area for me in terms of rankings. I would slightly prefer Fant just because I feel like I'm getting a safer option in Fant because I can project the situation better for him.
All right. While Lucas looks up these numbers, we'll recap my team real quick. So I went with Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Deshaun Watson, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Jared Goff, Darrell Henderson, John Brown, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and O.J. Howard. I like my team, but obviously it's my fucking team, so obviously I'm going to like it. My only worry was Jared Goff as my QB2. I mean, there was no real value after, like, the first couple of rounds. I was worried in the 4th round. I wasn't going to pick Matt Ryan there, so I just said, fuck it, and I'll wait and hope Jared Goff amounts to something eventually.
Yeah, I like the team a lot. Sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
All right, so in split, which just means in games Renfrow played, Darren Waller has scored 13.28 points per game, which was 212 fantasy points. Out of split, he scored 16.83, which is 269 fantasy points.
You also have to consider the games like at the end of the season versus at the beginning of the season because they started using Renfrow more so down the stretch than they did at the beginning of the season when he played. But so you have to keep that in mind as well. Because those are going to be skewed. Because at the beginning of the season, they weren't using Renfrow as much. But by the end of the season, once they actually put him into the slot role and he was developing a target basis and connection with Derek Carr, it really took effect on Darren Waller's numbers. So, I mean, obviously, you got to take into account what he did before that. I mean, that's why his upside is here. That's why he's going to be a top 7, top 8 dynasty tight end. And I still value him there because we saw the upside he brought. It's just you look at the last 5 or so games, and you just saw, like, when Renfrow was on the field, he really took a lot of targets off of Darren Waller's bottom line.
I guess we can look at this. Okay, so I'm going to keep progressing with what I was kind of explaining.
Go for it.
So, I mean, I can't say there's no way. You can't tell me you'd rather have Noah Fant and James White than Gardner Minshew and Mike Gesicki or Hollywood Brown and Tyler Higbee.
Dude, my team is God tier. It's an A+ team, and you guys aren't seeing that.
It's not an A+.
I guess what I'm saying is if we go off Darren Waller's 212 points that he would have scored in split, say we even knock him down to 200, Noah Fant will not score 200 fantasy points on 3 targets a game. Like that,
he's not going to get 3 targets a game. I mean, that's the lowest possible.
But you just said he didn't need that many targets to produce.
Three is not going to be what he's going to get. Like, you have to keep in mind, regardless of what happens, he's still going to be easily the 3rd option on that offense. Easily. So I mean,
it's way too high for a position that, I mean, it's tight end premium, but then again, in tight end premium, wouldn't you want a tight end that's going to catch the ball more? Because that's what's weighted.
Oh, 100%. But I'm saying in terms of his upside, I feel like you're knocking him a little too low here. Because I mean, projecting 3 targets, you're saying that he's going to produce. We've covered it earlier. Kyle Rudolph had 48 targets in 16 games last year. You're basically going to say he's going to have 48 total targets on the season for as talented of a player he is. 48 targets.
Depends. I mean, like you look at it this way. Why is Hayden Hurst? Does he have upside too?
Hayden Hurst has upside because of how Dirk Cutter uses his tight ends.
So wouldn't you have to rank him close to Fan or even above?
And I have Hurst close to Fan. I have Hurst at about 10 at this current juncture. I love Hurst. Hurst.
I don't know.
I mean, I just view Fant's upside as being literally top 3. That's how valuable that's how valuable I think he is. I mean, we're always gonna harp on young tight ends simply because we don't see them produce until the 1 year they break out and like, oh shit, how did we not see this coming? Look at Andrews last year. He basically came out of nowhere. He basically came out of a spot that Noah Fant was in. Look at Kittle 2 years ago. Well, it's not different though. How is it different?
He was the wide receiver 1 on that team.
Okay, Kittle 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's the wide receiver 1 on that team.
You can't compare Baltimore to Denver. The offenses are different. Tight ends dominate in running systems.
And
that's just how that works.
I get in terms of offenses. I get that. But Baltimore's the most run-heavy offense in the NFL. Pat Shurmur's going to throw the ball at a good 65%, or not throw the ball physically, but he's going to call passing plays on a good 65% of his total splits. So regardless of Sutton's there or not, regardless if they add a downfield stretcher, the target 3 on a 65% passing offense is going to be valuable. He's not going to get 8 to 10 targets again. I get that. But even him at 5 to 6 a game in the role he's going to play on that offense, I just think that's too much. I mean, it's your pick. You understand the upside he brings. But I just think that's too much value to even have him ranked lower than possibly 8 or 9. I don't know. I mean, I definitely see that he's a lower floor than the other guys that may be available. I just think the upside is so immense that there's no way you can rank him lower than that.
Yeah, all I want to say is that Nick's team looks really sick right now. Wide receiver screws look awesome.
Here we go.
I love Nick's team.
Hey, you got to segue snacks here today. You got to value the running backs more. Again, you did the Darrell Henderson, Clyde Edwards. You just know you're punching me in the cock here, and you like that. It's pissing me off just a bit. Quarterbacks look pretty good. I think it's better quarterbacks than your last draft. No worries though. The wide receivers are put together. Running backs look great. I like Nick's team right now.
What grade would you have to give it if you had to choose here?
I'm really hanging on an A here. I think I would. The end of the draft gets rough. I think I love the John Brown pick. I think he's the best. He's going to be the best fantasy receiver this year in Buffalo. Not long term, but this team looks like he can win right now, and I like that.
But like you just said, he'd be the best receiver in Buffalo. You think he's going to be over Diggs?
I said this season, yes. Yeah. Fantasy wise, yes.
This season, you think John Brown's going to outproduce Diggs?
Yes,
it's entirely possible with no OTAs or anything.
I mean,
and I'll tell you why. Because you harp on me all the time about how I don't think Hopkins is gonna be really good, and you're like, well, Kyler.
I think he's gonna be good. I just don't think he's gonna be wide receiver too. There is a complete difference because I love the guys in that range right after him in terms of Godwin, Hill, and Adams. Now I don't know if he'd be my number 2. He might be more so my 4 or 5, but I still love Hopkins. I just don't have him as my 2.
It's the same situation, though, is what I'm saying. Like, Diggs will not build a repertoire with Allen at all. So John Brown already has that. Why wouldn't he be number 1 in this offense this season?
Well, I don't know if he's going to finish as, higher than him, but it's probably going to be more close than most people think. Most people are going to assume Diggs just ass rapes him, but in reality, they'll probably be, around the same area.
I think Brown's going to be good. I just don't think, saying he's going to outproduce Diggs, I just don't.
But you need to look at the ADPs, though, because you need to tie in the ADP. You're not drafting people off rankings. You're drafting them off ADP that follows you.
Correct.
Say you attach a numbered value to Stephon Diggs' 410 ADP and his production, which is going to be similar to John Brown. Like it just is. That's how the offense is going to roll. Maybe he'll get 400 more yards, whatever the case may be, 40 more fantasy points. But the 40 fantasy points is not more
valuable than getting a guy like Ridley and then pairing him with Brown. I get that.
Yeah, it's not more valuable than getting John Brown in the 9th round, which 40 fantasy. There's no way Diggs outperforms by 40 fantasy points. And I was just kind of throwing it out there. It might be 5 fantasy points just because maybe John Brown catches more touchdowns, whatever the case may be.
I could entirely see this being like one of those situations where last year everyone said Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore are going to be like so close, and then Stephon Diggs blows them out of the water somehow. But I don't know.
No, I just think that it's like it's
a good shot to take at 906, guaranteed.
Yeah, and I don't want to say he's going to outproduce him because I can't. Like no one can say that. No one, because we don't know how the target share is going to happen. That's why I think I'm just going to be completely off Diggs. Because I know how ADP falls when players get traded. They boost them up. Everyone boosts them up because no matter where they go, they think it's a better situation for A, B, C reason. So for that reason, you just have to be off him and you just have to move on to the next guy. And that's when you go take John Brown later, or I mean, like whatever the case may be. Even Beasley in like the 12th round, no one's taking away Beasley's targets. Diggs isn't playing the slot, taking over the middle. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just like, I guess what I was trying to say is you can't think of Diggs as an upgrade, or I don't even want to say like a neutral. It has to be down a little bit.
Okay. So overall, what are you thinking on my team? Like, what grade?
I mean, I like it. I would personally, again, like, I love Watson. Like that value at the 306 to pair with Eckler and Zeke is just absolutely ridiculous. Your receiving core is set. I mean, John Brown is a wide receiver 4 is a really good high upside pick. Now you harped on the Goff pick, but I mean, at 706, it's just an incredible value. I mean, personally, I can see him being overdrafted all the way up into honestly the 5th round at times. I can, like you say, a quarterback run happens. I can definitely see that happening. So getting him at the 7-6 there, especially a pick before Breeze, like Breeze is a fucking 43-year-old quarterback. You're getting Goff, who's 26, locked up long term to a good situation with a good coach. I mean, that's great value.
It's not that great of a situation.
With
their lines falling apart.
I get their line is bad, but you got the receiving weapons you have on the outside, getting him at the 706. You still have Sean McVay there, who's a top 3 coach in the NFL.
Well, he was a top coach the year he first came out, which no one knew his system. I think it's a little different now. I don't really see.
Goff's been a top 10 quarterback the past 3 years, Tyler. Getting him at 26 at the 706 here.
I'm talking about McVay.
Okay. Would you take Drew Lock over Jared Goff?
Yeah,
yes.
I would.
I mean, I would.
You would?
And Jared Goff was a 12th and 13th fantasy quarterback too, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So, give or take, quarterback one, not top 10.
All the arguments you made for Jared Goff are the same for Drew Lock, but he has a good offensive line and a play calling genius on the offensive
Jared
side.
Goff do it though. Again, I love Drew Lock's potential, but
we saw Todd Gurley do it, and you guys are all off Todd Gurley.
Yeah, because Todd Gurley averages 3.5 yards per carry last year, and literally his whole fantasy. He's still averaging over 5 in his career. I get that, but he totally regressed. Like you're going to argue that 2017, 2008. Yeah, no, but 2017, 2018 Todd Gurley was the same Todd Gurley as 2019 Todd Gurley. That'd be a ludicrous argument that you would lose every time.
A-.
No, I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying Jared Goff regressed. So why if you're projecting the same for Todd Gurley, you have to project the same this year for Jared Goff. In an offense with less weapons, they didn't do anything on that offensive line. You can't say they're in a position in the draft to build O-line because who's to say any O-linemen are going to be there when they pick? They can't trade up because they don't have future assets to trade up. They literally aren't going to make any moves. They have no cap. Brandon Cooks wants out. You can't roll into a season. They're going to run 2 tight end sets the whole season because they don't have depth at their positions to run.
Woods, Cup, Everett, Higbee.
That's cool. Do you have time to throw the ball with that line?
And I get that, but even he didn't have time to throw the ball last year, and he still finished quarterback 13.
Yeah, but they also had Todd Gurley, which teams are playing.
I get that, and Todd Gurley was absolutely asshole last year. If you watch any Rams games,
maybe fantasy and not
in real life. What do you mean?
Well,
they weren't better in fantasy than he was in real life.
Yeah,
hold
on.
You
have to respect the talent as a defense. That's completely different.
What he showed absolutely no talent last year.
How are you going to play? You're not going to play the run as hard as you would have last year.
Are you seriously going to make the argument last year that Todd Gurley played as a great running back, as a good run, even like as a good running back in the NFL? He was awful last year. He was awful
back-to-back
last year.
seasons of being that elite. I think as a defense, you'd
And I get that, but he's clearly not the same player than the seasons he was elite. Are you going to call David Johnson the same player?
When Goff was forced to pass the Tampa game, when the Tampa had a great run defense, when he was forced to pass, he was horrible. So put him in that situation this year where he will be horrible and doesn't have a run game.
You're going to project one game to project a whole sample size over a season. Is that what you're saying?
Fine,
right?
let me find some more fucking games. Let's actually give Nick a
Their
review.
offensive line was so bad this year, and he finishes the quarterback 13. Getting him at the 706 here, a 26-year-old quarterback locked up long-term to a great head coach and the weapons they have, you cannot argue is a bad value at all.
Okay. And you would take him over Drew Lock every time?
From what we know now, yes, I would.
I guess I'm not like trying to like.
I think Drew Lock has higher upside. I'm not arguing that at all. But we saw.
Then why wouldn't you take Drew Lock then?
Because Drew Lock has played 3 games in the NFL.
But you took Sam Darnold because of upside.
Yeah, I took Sam Darnold because Goff was off the board.
Ready? Carolina
was off the board.
Defense, 9
All right, let's move on to the next team.
Good run defense, 3.7. Chicago, good run defense, 5.2. Baltimore,
so you're just going to project good run defense to carry him throughout this year. Like, what are you talking about? He still finished quarterback 13. He's not going to face a top 5 run defense every game this year. Like, you're being completely ludicrous right now saying that he's not even going to be a value at 706. 26-year-old quarterback locked up long-term. High, like he's averaging – we're all going to argue he's being overpaid, but he's locked up to a great head coach with absolutely great weapons on the outside, and their offensive line was a concern this year. It's only going to get better. Like, you can't get much worse than it was last year, and he still finished quarterback 13.
Yeah, except you lose your running game. So
what running game did they have last year? The running game was awful.
Respect the guy. Can we give
Gurley was shit. Gurley was awful.
Nick, you're
Are we really gonna
put an A- team out here? I really, really like what you did as a whole. Wide receiver crew was great. You already heard my review on that. Quarterbacks, I still like it. I still like Goff's. I still like his value there. OJ Howard was rough. That's a hit or miss kind of guy. I do not like the backup running backs. You know that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire can go eat shit. He's my Twitter enemy. Good team though. A-.
This is an A for me easily. I mean, I'm higher on Henderson. I'm clearly higher on Goff, and I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to get second, third round type draft capital. So getting him at the 10th pick there is good value. I mean, I just don't see any real holes on this team. So anything less than an A, in my opinion, would just be nitpicking. So I'm gonna give you an A. What are your thoughts, Lucas?
I think the only thing I would have done differently instead of Henderson is just Lindsey, because I think obviously it's as of now, so obviously you can't say that the Rams don't have another running back because like that's very subjective, because you could say that with that means you'd basically be picking Andy Dalton instead of Joe Burrow. So I don't want to say like we are going as of now, but we can't project that there's not going to be a running back drafted there. I don't know if there's going to be. I have a feeling they're going to get a guy like Zach Moss or someone in the 3rd, maybe 4th round just to have in that backfield. And I think Lindsey, even with like, here's the thing. Lindsey's not getting less touches because he was only getting 15 touches a game max anyways. Melvin Gordon is just taking Royce Freeman and maybe 1 or 2 carries away from Devontae Booker, who is now cut from the team. Lindsey's still going to produce. I don't know if he's going to produce 1,000 yards, but he's going to produce more in the passing game. So I think even like the 9th round pick, whoever was there, he's not in the draft anymore. I think that's honestly a steal to me. And Lindsey's out on his contract after next year and could easily just go slide into another team and just literally be James White for the rest of his career. But I mean, I think Henderson's a good pick. The talent's there. For all the reasons everyone likes Tony Pollard, you have to like Darrell Henderson because Darrell Henderson tested better, produced better in Memphis. So I think overall it's a great team. You won't have to worry about receivers at all. Like those are going to be your 4 receivers you play every week. You have your 2 running backs, and you're just going to cycle in
Henderson,
maybe a starter, maybe an off-pace guy. And even if they get Zach Moss, Henderson's the best running back in that room. So he'll eventually win out. Talent always wins out. And then Helaire, I mean, I can't project anything, but I have a feeling he's going to be an off-pace back wherever he goes, which is still a fine RB2 on bye-week replacement.
Okay. So
hypothetically, I project the situation right now. Helaire goes to Seattle. You're looking at him in the 10th round there. That's great value. That's great value.
He'll be in the 6th if that happens.
Easily.
Penny's done. Like they've said, he's not going to play, and now you have no off season. And to do with the torn ACL, say the season gets condensed, or even if it doesn't get condensed, and they only get a month to prepare. Pete Carroll's a smart guy. He's just going to tell Penny just to, like, no. Like, just wait for next year. You'll have one more year on your rookie deal. Then you'll get you full. And they're going to roll into the season with Carson and Allaire. And obviously Carson's hurt. We've talked about this. So, yeah, I think that's a solid spot. It's a sneaky spot for them for sure. I don't know how much capital they're going to put into that pick, but I definitely think they come away with a running back for sure.
Okay, so now we'll pivot over here to Danny's team real quick. Kyler Murray, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Burrow, Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, J.K. Dobbins, Rieger, Justin Jefferson, Hunter Henry, Justin Herbert. Real quick, I'll give my analysis here. He went with 2 rookie quarterbacks, which could be risky, obviously, if we're talking about this season, but for the future, that's obviously great. He also gets 2 running backs that are also rookies, Jonathan Taylor and J.K. Dobbins, that are also huge. So you went with 2 running backs at every single position, or 2 rookies at every single position, except for tight end. You got Rieger, Jefferson, Dobbins, Taylor, and Burrow and Herbert. Overall, I think that this team is good, but I would be worried with I guess not, because your 2 main wide receivers are pretty old and everyone else is pretty young. But with that said, I still think that it's a pretty good team. I'd probably give this like an A-. I love Kyler Murray.
I mean, I was going to mention too, the Jalen Reagor pick. I love him personally, but if I were to have had the full timer, I probably would have taken a guy like Kareem Hunt there. But again, like I ran out of time. We were mid-draft. But yeah, either way, like if we put Reagor there, I agree. I'm relying a lot on youth, so that would knock the team a little bit. But again, I just don't think you can, like, personally, it might sound biased, but I don't think you can give it lower than A-. But Lucas, Tyler, what do you guys have to say?
You're counting on a lot of guys hitting, which I mean is okay. I feel like your running back position, it could either be a big hit or a big miss, and I feel the same with the wide receivers. That's the one thing you're relying on if you're going to go that young, which is cool. I mean, we look at last year's draft, and I know last year's draft's a very big outlier because it was an O-line, D-line kind of draft. So, we can't really take the playmakers too big, but there was not a lot of early successes at all. And even right now, I mean, the RB2 in everyone's mind in rookie drafts last year was David Montgomery going at 5.2. And if that happens with Jonathan Taylor or JK, I mean, with JK, I guess you kind of be ahead of the game. But if that happens with Taylor, you're hurting. Your crew, while young, is still has to be taken as risky.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of like a good intro into kind of how I was going to put it. Like, you take Reagor before a guy, even Jefferson before a guy like N'Keal Harry, Deontay Johnson, Preston Williams, even like a Landry for the first pick. I guess, let's face it, Reagor's not going to be the first 3, 4 receiver off the board.
I would have taken Hunt there. Like, again, I would have taken.
And I think even Jefferson, what are you projecting for Jefferson?
Well,
I know Harry was hurt, so we can't go off his last year's stats. But what role are you projecting Jefferson to be in? That's not going to be the same opportunity that Harry had, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, he's going to be a top 25 pick. I just feel like he's a safer guy coming into the NFL. Harry, as much as I loved his analytic profile, he still had work to do in terms of his route running, in terms of his actual, like, nuance of the game. Nuance of the receiver position, basically is what I mean. He had a lot of refining to do to his mechanics. Whereas as I watch Jefferson on film, I mean, he seamlessly runs his routes. He's got great hands. I mean, he's just a more polished player at this point than what we saw from a guy like Harry. I mean, again, I like Harry. I think he was a great talent. I mean, his analytic profile was humongous last year. I mean, he's one of the best we've seen. But I just think Jefferson is a safer player long term, especially with the quarterback change. We don't know what's going to happen in New England. Whereas, like, Jefferson's again, you can't make the argument with Jefferson because he's not on the team. But I don't know. I prefer him over.
He's going to be the wide receiver too.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he's going to slot into it in Eagles, Bills, not Bills anymore. Sorry, Eagles, Vikings, maybe even the Niners. They trade back or whatever the case may be. He's going to be the wide receiver 2 on a team. No team's going to draft him round 1 to be their wide receiver 3. Like, that's just not good team building. I get what you're saying. I think it's just more so, like, obviously this is the mock draft and it's just like strategy and whatnot. I just think that you are taking a lot of risk, which is not a bad thing, because if it hits, it hits, and then, like, you're set for a long time. But I think Tyler was just kind of saying, like, you're taking a lot of risk, which is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, because I think I might play it a little too safe sometimes, which I don't know if that's good or bad or whatever the case may be. But overall, I like it. I think you started the draft really strong. I love the Keenan Allen, Robert Woods picks. I don't know why people are letting 2 top 10 receivers that aren't going to change volume fall to the 5th and the 6th round.
Even Robert Woods might even increase in volume, especially if Cooks is out there.
Yeah,
if
so like I don't.
Cooks is gone, like
There's no reason why it's changing. Is that Edwards-Helaire in the background?
Yeah, me and my buddy Clyde.
I love it.
But yeah, I think overall it's a fantastic team. I think I just go as of now. I don't take as many rookies because it's just not my time. Like if this was actually like a real draft, I would not find myself taking a lot of rookies because I think I like to play it, like I said, on the safer side. But I don't like to play it like super conservative. But I think you have to take it with what it is. But overall, I think it's a good draft.
Okay, now let's move on here to Lucas real quick. Lucas went with Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin, Carson Wentz, Baker Mayfield, DK Metcalf, Scary Terry McLaurin, Le'Veon Bell, Hollywood Brown, N'Keal Harry, Tony Pollard, and Tyler Higbee. Real quick, I'll give my assessment. I hate Carson Wentz. I know Tyler hates Baker Mayfield, but I don't like Carson Wentz at all. But they obviously going to bring in a wide receiver, so whether you pick them, he's fine. I like your team as a whole. I love Le'Veon Bell in the 7th round. I know Danny fucking hates him, but that value is amazing. A guy that's going to be getting you 12-plus PPR points a game in the 7th round is a straight-up steal. I don't like N'Keal Harry at all just because Tom Brady is gone. I think if Tom Brady was there for another 2 years, N'Keal Harry would have been amazing. I love Tony Pollard late in the draft, and I think that Higbee could be a solid tight end. Obviously, he's up there in age, but could be good for a couple of years, obviously, with the Rams using a lot of 2 tight end sets. So overall, I think this is a great team. Yet again, I'd probably go with an A- here. I love Terry McLaurin as well. I see immense upside there if Dwayne Haskins learns how to throw the ball. So to Tyler real quick.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid team. I mean, kind of looking at what we're viewing here. I mean, overall, I think the quarterbacks are rough. You know my opinion. Me and Nick just hate your quarterbacks, and you just have to accept that. They can go eat shit because Baker's garbage at what he does.
The value there is good, though. I mean,
no, because he won't be successful. So how's his value good?
I mean, I think the way I can put it is Wentz was QB10 last year with no receivers. As much as I'm not a big Wentz guy in terms of overall football, that was more of he'd be my QB2, and I'd eventually to figure out my QB1 long term. And as much as I think the Browns are a wash of a franchise, and they still are, just because they went out and signed a 1-0 tackle and overpaid for a non-position of need does not mean their season is fixed. Their defense is still garbage. They don't have a receiver. Landry's not going to start the season to play, maybe even longer now because they don't even go to the facilities anymore, and they still can't decide between which starting running back they want. Yeah. I still think he is the safer bet. I mean, I know Joe Burrow, Denny likes him a lot, but we can't project much more for Joe Burrow. I think in the upcoming years than the stats Baker's been putting up. In a way, Baker just hasn't checked off the touchdown department, which you can't project that anyways. But, I mean, is Joe Burrow going to throw more than 3,800 yards with 24 touchdown average in the first 2 years?
Definitely not in his rookie year, but I can definitely see him surpassing that long term. Now, I'm not going to hate on the pick. I like Mayfield. And getting him and Wentz at the 312 and 401 turn, in my opinion, is a great value because I personally view them as more so mid-third round type of players. So, I mean, I think you're getting great value there. I mean, you opened up with Mixon, Godwin. I mean, maybe if I nitpick, I'd probably prefer a guy like Adams or Hill. But, I mean, I love Godwin regardless, so you can't nitpick because that tier is so close. So it just honestly comes down to personal preference. I mean, we prefaced this before. Joe Mixon, he was going 203 last draft. Getting him at 112 there, I still think is probably even great value. Like, I probably would even honestly consider him as soon as probably the 109 in this situation. Like, I think there's a great value there. You got good young receivers. I mean, I talked about it mid-draft. Oh, damn, you sniped DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. Those are 2 awesome values there. 2 great young receivers. Their rookie seasons were fantastic. Their situations are only going to get better for the future. So I love what you're doing there. I mean, as much as I want to harp on Le'Veon Bell, for the short term, he's going to provide you a floor. I mean, getting him as your RB2 with a wide receiver and quarterback heavy offense, I mean, you can't hate it. I know we have different team building philosophies. I more aim for players who can project me long term, while you want to aim for guys that can produce in the short term and give you a good floor. And I get that. I mean, take him at the 712 there by no means is terrible value whatsoever. So, and then you got your 2 younger receivers. I mean, Brown and Harry, definitely intriguing options. Pollard, Higbee to round it off. Higbee concerns me a bit simply because we saw what Everett did when he was the tight end in that role. And as soon as Everett went down is when Higbee kind of showed his stride. I mean, the upside is there. I mean, maybe I personally would have at that point, all the tight ends were gone, so I like the pick. But Yeah, no, I definitely would. If I was going to grade the team, it'd probably be about an AA minus. It just looks like a really good team to me. I mean, again, RB could potentially be a position in need for you simply because your 2 and 3 are a little bit weaker, in my opinion. But I mean, the overall foundation you built around them is just really good. So yeah, I definitely like what you're doing. Nick, Tyler, what do you guys have to say about Lucas's team?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the quarterback's a mess. But that's just my opinion. I think the wide receiver crew looks really, really clean. Bell as your 2 running back isn't screaming.
RB16 last year.
Yeah,
and everything Danny said is only projecting upside.
That's why I'm not saying fuck that pick because I could have. I'm not hating it at that value. It's really nice. I would have liked to see another running back, but shit, I won't nitpick it too much. I think the team comes together really well. Tight end's a mess. Quarterback's a mess, in my opinion. So I'm hovering around a B.
Okay, yeah, I think this lineup is pretty much like a B plus A minus. It's very good. I mean, obviously Le'Veon Bell as your second running back is worrisome for the future, but I mean, obviously you're gonna have rookie picks in the future that you can just completely go with other guys. So that's perfectly fine with me. I like the team overall, like I said. So any closing statements here, or are we done?
Nothing really. It's just a fun time. I mean, again, if it looks like a hostile situation when you're watching the video,
it is.
I promise you right now, we're all here to have a fucking good time. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking chirp each other as much as we can because we're all experts in this field. I mean, experts, but you know what I mean. But we're everybody's gonna have different viewpoints on the same players. It's just always gonna happen, and that's what makes fantasy football the way it is. So everybody's gonna view things differently. So I mean, getting to see it live, the tension that will happen is a very big benefit for you guys because it basically takes all the tension off you guys when you're drafting. Like, oh, haha, they debated this, and now I get the benefits of knowing what happened in that spot. So, I think that was a really enjoyable experience. As much as I wanted to blow my head off at times, but Nick, you want to close us off? Or?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to check all of them out on Twitter down below. Check out their YouTube channel, Fantasy Stock Exchange. That's also down below in the description. So thank you guys all for watching. I love each and every single one of you. Make sure not to get the fucking coronavirus because I can't have one of my subscribers dying. So thank you all. I love you all.